The Missing Princes. Did Richard III kill his nephews? In the summer of 1483, the cold stone walls of the Tower of London echoed with the laughter of two boys, Edward V, a spirited 12-year-old with a crown that should have been his, and his younger brother, Richard of Shrewsbury, just 9, a shadow of innocence trailing behind. They were the sons of King Edward IV, rightful heirs to the English throne. But within those shadowed walls, their story ends, or perhaps begins, as one of history's greatest mysteries. Their uncle, Richard III, stands at the heart of it, a figure cloaked in ambition, suspicion, and whispers of murder. Did he kill his nephews to secure his crown? Let's step into the fog of 15th century England and weave a tale of power, betrayal, and secrets swallowed by time. The scene: the Tower of London, 1483. The tower loomed over London, a fortress of grey stone and guarded silence. To the boys, it was a strange playground. Archers' arrows thumped into targets, ravens croaked from the turrets, and the summer sun glinted off the Thames beyond the walls. Edward, the elder, had been raised for kingship, his golden hair and sharp eyes marking him as his father's son. Richard, quieter and smaller, clung to his brother's side, a duke in name but a child in spirit. They'd arrived after their father's sudden death, under the care of their uncle Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who'd sworn to protect them as Lord Protector. But the air grew heavy that summer. Guards whispered in corners, their glances sharp and fleeting. Elizabeth Woodville, the boy's mother, paced her sanctuary at Westminster, her pleas for news unanswered. The court buzzed with rumours. Richard, the loyal brother, had ambitions of his own. And then, one day, the boys' laughter stopped. They vanished from the courtyard, from the windows, from history itself. The King. Richard III's rise. Richard of Gloucester was no stranger to war or loyalty. A hunchbacked warrior with a keen mind, he'd fought beside his brother Edward IV to secure the Yorkist throne. But when Edward died in April 1483, the kingdom trembled. The crown passed to young Edward V, too young to rule alone. Richard, named Protector, escorted the boy king to London. Yet the wheels of power turned swiftly. In a bold stroke, Richard declared Edward IV's marriage to Elizabeth Woodville invalid, tainted, he claimed, by a prior betrothal. The princes were bastards, unfit to reign. Parliament agreed, and Richard took the throne as Richard III. The boys, now threats to his legitimacy, were confined to the Tower, a place that blurred the line between protection and prison. Was Richard a villain driven by ruthless ambition, or a pragmatist securing a fractured realm? His supporters saw a king stabilizing a war-torn land, his enemies a usurper stained with blood. The truth lies buried in his choices, and in the silence that followed the princes' disappearance. The mystery. What happened to the princes? Theories swirl like mist over the Thames. The simplest and darkest points to Richard. He had motive. Living princes could rally rebels against his fragile rule. He had means. The Tower was his, its guards loyal to his command. And he had opportunity. That fateful summer, as he consolidated power in London, the boys faded from sight. Imagine a moonless night, a hushed order passed to a trusted knight, perhaps Sir James Tyrrell, a man known for his devotion to Richard. Two small figures, asleep in their chamber, silenced forever by pillows or blades. The bodies spirited away, hidden beneath a staircase, or sunk into the river's depths. The guards turn blind eyes. The court feigns ignorance, and Richard's crown sits heavier but unchallenged. Yet history offers clues, not proof. In 1674, Workmen uncovered 2 child-sized skeletons beneath a tower staircase, buried in secrecy. Were these the princes? No modern tests have confirmed it, and the bones remain locked away. Chronicles from the time, like that of Thomas More, writing decades later, accuse Richard outright, claiming Tyrrell confessed to the deed. But More served Henry VII, Richard's rival and successor, and his words drip with bias. Tyrrell's alleged confession, extracted under torture, crumbles under scrutiny. The counter-argument. Was Richard innocent? Not all fingers point to Richard. Some whisper that Henry Tudor, who toppled Richard at Bosworth in 1485 to become Henry VII, had equal cause to silence the princes. If they'd survived Richard's reign, they'd threaten Henry's claim, rooted in a weaker lineage. Yet Henry never accused Richard directly. Odd if the boys' deaths were known. Perhaps they lived in secret, spirited away by loyalists, or died of neglect rather than murder. Richard's defenders paint him differently, a king too shrewd to risk the scandal of kinslaying. If he'd ordered their deaths, wouldn't he have hidden the bodies better, beyond the tower's reach? The lack of solid evidence, records, witnesses, a smoking dagger, keeps the debate alive. The witness, a servant's tale. Let's imagine a boy named Will, a scrawny servant in the tower's kitchens. He's invisible to the nobles, slipping through corridors with bread and ale. One night he overhears a murmured exchange, harsh voices, a clink of coins, a name, Tyrrell. Peering through a crack in the wall, Will sees 2 men in cloaks descend to the prince's chamber. Hours later, they return, faces grim, hands empty. The next day, the boy's room is silent, their toys untouched. Will never speaks of it. Fear binds his tongue until years later, under Henry VII's reign, when rumors swirl and he whispers his story to a priest. Truth or terror-fueled fancy, his tale fades into the chorus of speculation. The end. A question, unanswered. The tower stands today, its stones mute witnesses to the prince's fate. Richard III, dead on the battlefield in 1485, carried his secrets to the grave. The skeletons, if they are the boys, whisper of violence but name no killer. History's verdict wavers. Richard likely ordered their deaths. His throne demanded it. But certainty slips through our fingers like sand. So, what do you believe? Picture the boys in their final moments, trusting, defiant, or afraid. See Richard, crowned and haunted, weighing loyalty against power. The truth is a shadow, flickering between the lines of chronicles and the cracks of old bones. The missing princes remain lost, their story a riddle wrapped in England's bloody crown.